I will start by demoing the first feature, which is about sending events in the model debugger. So for this demo, I will use a simple model where I have a top capsule with a replicated port. It has actually multiplicity 20. This is just to illustrate that the UI that we have becomes a bit hard to use if the multiplicity is big. In this sample, I've only connected it to 2 instances, so we're actually using only instance 0 and 1, and the rest are unconnected. But you can easily imagine in a more realistic example that you would have connections for all 20 or even more of these port instances. And then inside this capsule, we connect it to 2 traffic light, which is the traditional red, yellow, green traffic light capsule. So if I start this debug session, I switch to the all debug perspective, and then I let the application run. We can first look at the structure of this application. So here I have my aggregate capsule, which contains the traffic light, 2 traffic light instances. I can open them next to each other so we can see what happens when I start to send events. Like this, they are now both in the red state. So the way to use the events view, and I should maybe start with having nothing here so we can see how it's done from the beginning, is that you need to populate it. And the way to do that is typically to select the port where you want to send events and then use populates event view. Then all the events that can be sent to or from that port will be added to this list. That's a convenient way to get started. But now you see here that I have lots of items in my debug view, and you can imagine if the multiplicity would have been even higher, that it's quite hard here to manage this list in the debug view. But if we first look at how would you as a user have done this before in the previous version, then you would have taken an event like green and you would drop it to one of these connected port instances. And here you see that 0 was the one I have on the right. It transitions to the green event or green state. And if I do it the same for the next one, I need to find the right instance, drop it, and then it will go to the green state. So clearly this is a bit cumbersome if there are lots of ports to choose from to know which one that you should send it to. So what we have done now is that we allow you to drop this directly on the capsule instead. So you don't need to even go down here and look at the ports. You can just go here and assume I want to send the yellow event. You drag it and drop it on the top capsule. And instead you get this dialog that gives you all the ports that can accept the event that you dropped. So here we have 2 ports out of many more that could accept this. So it already here helps a bit. If I want to send it to the light control, I can see here that it has 20 port instances, and I can specify which instance I want to send it to. And here we see that it's sent to instance 0. It's also possible to get this dialog without using drag and drop, but if you select the capsule instance and the event, you can right click and do send event, and then you get the same dialog as before. And you can specify 1 to send it to the other capsule instance. And there is also a third way to do it, and that is to select the capsule here, and in the event, now we should send the red, and then you click this button up here. Then you will get the same dialog again. You can also, in case of a replicated port, leave the port index blank. The meaning then is that you will send it to all port instances. It's a broadcast semantic. So if I send red here and I don't specify a port index, then you see both instances are moved to the red state at the same time. And of course, you can do this on any level here. So if I want to send it directly to one of the traffic lights here, I can take the yellow and I drop it here. And now I only get the ports in this particular capsule that can accept the yellow event. And this particular I select here couldn't accept it in that direction. But you see there are lots of ports here, and if you take this, there is a similar command here called send event. So here then you get prompted to select the port, but you can see some are filtered out here compared to what you have in the left. So for example, the log port doesn't have any events, so there is no point in choosing it. And here if I select control, then you get the corresponding events here that you can set. It's green that I should send. I think I sent it yellow before, which is wrong. So now you see it's transitioned to the green state. So overall, we can summarize that there is no new functionality with this feature. You could do this also before, but now it's easier thanks to this dialog to send the event, especially if you have replicated ports with lots of port instances like this, or if you have capsules with lots of ports typed by different protocols and you want to be able to more easily know exactly which port you should send the event to.